Nero Claudius Drusus campaigns in Germania from 12 to 9 BC stand as one of the boldest and most methodically executed military enterprises of the early Roman Empire, embodying Augustus's ambition to secure the northern frontier and transform the vast, fragmented region east of the Rhine into a stable Roman sphere of influence. Drusus, a young commander of exceptional promise and the stepson of Augustus, received a mandate that combined conquest, diplomacy, and long-term strategic planning. For the objective was not merely punitive raids, but rather the establishment of a durable political presence capable of shielding Gaul from Germanic incursions and extending Roman control toward the Elbe. The first campaign began in 12 BC. Drusus coordinated an impressive concentration of forces along the Rhine, launching swift incursions across the river that served both to assert Roman dominance and to gather intelligence about the geography, tribal alliances, and potential supply routes of a region notorious for its dense forests, marshlands, and chaotic weather. He achieved early success against tribes such as the Usepites and Tencteri, compelling them to submit or withdraw deeper into the interior, while simultaneously commissioning the construction of fortifications, watchtowers, and bridgeheads that ensured secure lines of retreat and communication, an essential consideration in terrain where the lack of roads and the mobility of local warriors could turn victory into disaster with alarming speed. Drusus's earliest operations also involved naval expeditions along the Rhine and into the North Sea, where his fleet faced treacherous tides and powerful storms. Despite these dangers, the Romans succeeded in circumnavigating portions of the Frisian coast and exerting pressure on the Frisia and Chalci, who were strategically important due to their control of coastal zones that could either assist or hinder Roman logistics. In 11 BC, Drusus intensified his efforts by establishing a permanent military corridor through western Germania, an enormous undertaking that involved cutting paths through forests, constructing elevated roads over marshes, and founding strongholds that could house garrisons year-round. These infrastructures allowed unprecedented mobility, enabling the legions to penetrate deep into the territory of the Chatti, a tribe famed for discipline and resistance. The campaign against the Chatti was especially fierce, marked by ambushes from wooded hillsides, sudden counterattacks, and skirmishes that tested the adaptability of Roman formations. Nevertheless, Drusus's leadership, logistical foresight, and ability to coordinate infantry, cavalry, and auxiliary units earned decisive, if hard-won, successes. His interaction with Germanic groups was not limited to force alone. Drusus used diplomacy where advantageous, receiving hostages, negotiating temporary alliances, and cultivating divisions among tribes whose loyalties were often fluid and internally contested. Understanding that political fragmentation within Germania could be used to Rome's benefit. By 10 BC, Drusus had gained enough confidence in the stability of his western bases to push further east, launching a sweeping campaign aimed at breaking the power of tribal coalitions before they could unite against Roman expansion. During this phase, he confronted the Cherusei, later the tribe of Arminius, who at this time oscillated between resistance and tactical accommodation. Drusus's movements were so extensive that ancient sources describe his forces traversing regions previously unknown to Roman geographers, charting river courses, identifying mountain passes, and recording the ethnic distribution of numerous small tribal groups whose names rarely appear in other historical contexts. Augustus, observing from Rome, rewarded Drusus with honors for his endurance and courage, while simultaneously urging caution, aware that enthusiasm for conquest could tempt commanders into rash overextension. Yet Drusus's ambition remained undimmed. In 9 BC, he embarked on the most daring of his expeditions, pushing toward the Elbe River with a combination of confidence, experience, and strategic purpose, the idea being that control over the Elbe corridor could transform Germania into a province stretching from the Alps to the Northern Sea, providing a natural frontier far more defensible than the Rhine.
On the way, he defeated an alliance of Germanic tribes who attempted to halt his advance, a coalition remarkable for its rare unity and indicative of growing alarm at Roman penetration. The march to the Elbe was a logistical marvel, requiring the maintenance of extended supply lines over hundreds of kilometers through wetlands, pine forests, and regions where autumn rains could entrap entire legions in mud. Drusus reached the Elbe, becoming the first Roman commander to do so with a major army, and although he reportedly contemplated crossing it, ominous portents and the council of local guides, as depicted in ancient accounts, dissuaded him. His withdrawal, however, was not an act of defeat, but of strategic prudence, for he intended to return in the following season with stronger logistical preparations. Yet fate intervened. While riding back through territory recently pacified, Drusus suffered a severe fall from his horse, fracturing his leg in a manner that soon became infected. Ancient chroniclers describe how messengers rushed to summon Tiberius, who hastened across Gaul with remarkable speed and arrived in time to comfort his brother during his final days. Despite the best medical care available, Drusus succumbed to complications of the injury, dying at the age of 29, a moment deeply mourned by the army, Augustus, and the Roman populace, for his charisma, restraint, and strategic intelligence had already cultivated the image of a leader destined for extraordinary achievements. After his death, Tiberius assumed command and completed some of his brother's unfinished operations, securing temporary stabilization but also recognizing the enormous challenges that permanent occupation of Germania would entail. Drusus was commemorated with monuments, triumphal honors, and the construction of the monumental Drususstein at Mogontiacum, which became the focal point of a cult dedicated to his memory, and later played a political role in legitimizing the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Over time, as Roman ambitions in Germania faltered, especially after the catastrophic defeat of Varus in AD 9, Drusus's campaigns came to symbolize both the high point of Roman possibility in the region and the limits imposed by geography, climate, and the fierce independence of the tribes. Yet his legacy survived not merely in commemoration, but in concrete outcomes: the mapping of Germania, the establishment of military bases and roads that endured for decades, the refinement of strategies for river-based operations, and the shaping of Roman frontier policy that eventually accepted the Rhine as the boundary of the empire. Modern historians view Drusus not as a reckless conqueror, but as a highly capable strategist whose work, though incomplete, profoundly influenced Roman military thinking, demonstrating how careful planning, infrastructural development, and political acuity could push the empire's frontiers into some of the most challenging regions of Europe.